Democrats in office today, virtually in Congress, in the higher offices, in the state legislature today, to stay in this party, you have to be supporting socialistic program. You have to be a socialist. And this goes all the way down, even into the state government level. And I just want to quickly here mention several, use a test on socialist test on several of the congressmen and women from here in Pennsylvania to show what I mean, how socialist they are. I have 3 or 4 socialistic measures that they voted on, and I want to show you that they did vote for the socialist option. There's Kathy Dahlkemper from Erie. There's Jason Altmaier from Allegheny County here, and Mike Doyle. I have their votes. There are many more votes, but I've just picked these 3 or 4 for the sake of time. One of them is one of these votes was the GIVE Act to increase the number of paid volunteers in the government to 230,000. This would be used like Acorn to create a national civilian security force for Obama. This is reminiscent of the Hitler Youth Program and things like this. It's definitely a socialistic measure. And here's how they voted. Kathy Dahlkemper voted yes for this. Jason Altmaier voted yes, and Mike Doyle voted yes for that. Let's look at another one here on the nationalizing the federal student loan program. That's a socialistic measure. That loan program was doing fine, administered by the states, PSEA, Pennsylvania Higher Education Assistance Programs, for example. Kathy Dahlkemper voted to nationalize the student loan program. Jason Altman voted to nationalize it, and again, Mike Doyle voted to nationalize it. One more question, one more sample here. I've said that the GET way, the communistic way, the Marxist way does not have a moral public policy. So the Pence Amendment, when it came to vote on the Pence Amendment to a Health and Human Services bill to defund family planning, to stop money going to Planned Parenthood, or defund Planned Parenthood, to stop the money going that, to stop it, to put a chokehold, financial chokehold on abortion. This is something that a moral pro-life congressman would vote for because of the moral worldview. But Jason Altmaier voted no. He didn't want to stop money going to Planned Parenthood for abortion that would be used for abortions. Mike Doyle voted no. He didn't want to stop money going to Planned Parenthood that would wind up facilitating abortions. Lastly, Kathy Dahlkemper's vote was interesting because she presents herself as pro-life. So she did not vote no. She didn't vote yes either. She was recorded here as not voting. That's interesting. It's kind of a way of the interesting thing about that is she did not go against the Socialist Democratic, the Democratic Party. She could have voted to defund it, but she did not. She did not do that either. She didn't want to go against the Democratic Party. Well, that brings us to our guest today. I want to welcome Melissa Haluszczak. She is the candidate for Congress in the 14th District of Pennsylvania, running for the seat currently held by Mike Doyle. Melissa was born and raised in Carnegie and is a long-term resident of Coriopolis. Ms. Haluszczak has a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from the University of Pittsburgh and a paralegal certification from Duquesne University and a Master of Business Administration from Phoenix University. In addition, she's accredited in Russian and East European studies. Ms. Haluszczak has, for nearly 20 years, of professional legal experience and real estate development experience. So thank you for coming today and welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me.
Why did you decide? What made you decide to enter the race for United States Congress?
Well, several things. We see what's happening to our country. I think a lot of people are upset with what's been going on, and it's been happening for a long time. I have always taken an interest in politics, and I have always, oh, shouldn't say always, for probably a good 10 to 15 years, I've written to my congressman, I've written to the senators and let them know how I felt. I've emailed and told them what I thought about policy, how I thought they should vote. I've made phone calls, and I would say in the past 5 years, it's become more acute. I've taken up that charge a little bit more readily, and they don't seem to be listening. And I shouldn't say they don't seem to be, we know they're not. And in fact, in the past year, we've seen that, and especially with the health care bill. So within the past year, I have been involved in some of the protests. I've gone to the congressmen and women's offices, and they just aren't listening. So that's when I decided, what do we do next? Well, what do we do next? We need to take this country back, and we need to do that by getting into the offices ourselves and getting these people out and putting the right people in.
I might add, if I'm correct in saying that you are a Tea Party co-organizer from Coriopolis, and you're running as a conservative Republican.
Yes, I am.
Well, we're hearing a lot about values and principles. How would you describe your values and principles to the listeners, to the audience?
Well, pretty much my platform, I am running on values and principles because I believe that our politicians in Washington have pretty much forgotten about their values and principles. They literally have ignored them. We know what their values and principles are. They don't have them anymore. They do not know what accountability is. They do not know what transparency is. And these are the values and principles that I am running on: accountability, transparency, liberty and limited government, and national security. Our politicians in Washington seem to be ignoring these. They don't know what they are. They don't know what accountability is. They are ignoring the citizens. What are they doing? They have bailouts, the vote buying, and backroom deals. And these are things they used to be ashamed of. And right now, they seem to be proud of them. And they're advertising them on the front pages of the newspapers and on primetime television. And that's sad. And it's reprehensible.
They certainly are lording it over. They're not afraid of the public, is what they're showing. The Democrats in particular are not afraid of the public. And I know in talking with you, I've heard you mention that you are you intend to term limit yourself.
Correct.
Could you explain the advantage in term limiting yourself? Why that's an advantage?
Because I believe, first of all, as a representative, I believe that the incumbent certainly has not lived up to what a representative is. A representative, more so than what a senator is, you have a particular congressional district, and to represent that area, you need to know your constituents, who they are, how they live their lives, be involved with their lives, to know and to represent them. And I think we have an absence of a representative. And to term limit yourself as that representative, you bring yourself back to the community. You are back in that community. You bring your head back down out of the clouds.
In other words, term limiting frees you. And Pat Toomey, I think, did the same thing.
Correct.
He term limited himself, to 6 years?
Yes.
And when you do that, you become like the citizen, just like in the draft, you have the citizen soldier. You're in there for a period of time, and then your term is done. You're not making a career out of it. Well, this leads to the concept of the citizen legislator, which frees you to go there and give it make your contribution.
Right.
But you don't start thinking about the election and your retirement.
You're thinking about your duty and your service to your country. Not all of us are called to be in military service. This is your service to your country in another way. And then you come back to your community, you become part of your community again, and you think again, how can I best serve my community? And it may be public office again, but it may be in local office. It may be in another way. But you get yourself back into that community and you think about how you want to better serve.
Since you're not thinking about how to vote because of your retirement 20 years down the road, it frees you to do these
Exactly,
things.
yes.
What about the Declaration of Independence here? I know you're pro-life. You were endorsed by the pro-life organizations, and your opponent, Mike Doyle, is not. What's your commitment to defend human life?
I believe human life begins upon conception, and I have exceptions. I believe the exception for the life of the mother, endangerment of the mother, and for rape. And I do have struggles with that myself. I pray on that, and I'll have a personal argument with myself even after I say it, because I just can't put myself in that person's place. So I struggle with that all the time. However, those are my exceptions. But I don't believe that. I also can't understand funding for abortion on the government's behalf. I don't believe the government should have any place in that. I don't think that we should be taking somebody's tax money and forcing a doctor or another human being who's morally opposed to it to pay for somebody else to have that done.
Do you support funding for family planning?
No, because I believe it goes hand in hand with abortion funding. It's just another term. It rose by another name, basically. It's a term for the same thing.
Yes, being in the pro-life movement, I want to point this out, emphasize that this is a characteristic of so-called pro-life Democrats. They will virtually all, support funding for family planning. But family planning is what Planned Parenthood and the abortion people use to get teenagers involved. Mm-hmm. Some of it goes to every time there's an abortion, half of those women don't come back. So Planned Parenthood is losing half of their customer base all the time, and they have to replenish it. So this is why they go out for sex education in the school. They can brainwash young people and lead them down the road to family planning and so-called contraceptives and things like that. And these become tomorrow's abortion customers. And that's the difference, too. That's another, in this health care vote, the vote on the collapse of the Stupak Amendment to the health care bill, Phyllis Schlafly described it this way, that the abandonment of the Stupak Amendment by Stupak, Bart Stupak, he was holding out, if you remember, that was the pro-life condition. He was going to hold on and was holding up the vote on the health care bill. But in the end, he collapsed, and they all voted for it. And supposedly pro-lifers voted for it, including Kathy Dahlkemper. Jason Altmaier didn't literally vote for the bill, but that's on as I said, he votes for all the. So Phyllis Schlafly said that collapse of the Stupak, the abandonment by Stupak and others in the Democratic Party of the pro-life Stupak language for the health care bill, exposes the myth of the pro-life Democrat. What was Mike Doyle's role in that Stupak Amendment? He
was actually the architect of what we're terming now the Stupak sellout, where he created the scheme. He will take credit for it. If you go onto his website, you will see the link to the article where Bart Stupak himself, Congressman Bart Stupak, gives him credit for being the orchestrator of the entire deal.
That appeared in Politico magazine.
It appeared in Politico, and this was a backroom deal. This was done off-site, behind closed doors. Nancy Pelosi gives him credit for it, and so does President Obama, where he was the one who brought them all together and was the liaison between the White House and Nancy Pelosi and the former pro-life Democrats. And he orchestrated the deal and basically caused them all to cash in their principles, including himself. Mm-hmm. He claimed to be a pro-life Democrat. He absolutely is not.
Well, yes, he's not endorsed, as I said earlier, he's mm-hmm. not endorsed by the pro-life organizations. I heard Quinn and Rose describe it on the radio. His style is he flies under the radar and he avoids controversy, and that way stays out of trouble. But his voting record on socialistic issues proves that he supports socialism. And that was the real purpose of getting that health care bill through. It was to set us on the course to socialistic medicine, and Mike Doyle was the key figure in causing that to happen, wasn't he?
Yes.